Commander Nix Valara stood tall on the bridge of her warship. Her silver eyes looked at the blue-green planet on the big screen in front of her. Earth was supposed to be easy to take over. The people there were just simple humans with basic spaceships. But somehow these humans had destroyed 3 Draxian scout ships in the past month. Nix's skin had small scales that shined in the lights of the bridge. Her black uniform fit her tall, strong body perfectly. She had won many battles for the Draxian Empire. Taking Earth should have been simple. "We finished checking the human ship, Commander," said her second-in-command, a male Draxian named Krell. "It's a new type of ship. Small crew. New weapons we haven't seen before." Nix turned to him, surprised. "They sent just one ship against our battle cruiser? Are they stupid, or do they have better technology than we thought?" The Obsidian Talon was the pride of the Draxian fleet. It was huge, with weapons that could destroy cities from space. One small human ship should be no threat at all. "Open communication with them," Nix ordered. "Let's see what these creatures say before we destroy them." The big screen changed. Now it showed a human female with reddish-brown hair and green eyes. She wore a simple blue uniform with small silver marks on the collar. "This is Captain Olivia Mercer of the Earth Defense Vessel Valiant," the human said. Her voice was calm and steady. "You are in restricted space. Please tell us why you are here." Nix was surprised. Most aliens were scared when they saw Draxians. This human showed no fear at all. "I am Commander Nix Valara of the Draxian Empire," she said, standing taller. "Your planet now belongs to us. Give up now, or we will destroy you all." Captain Mercer's face stayed calm. "Maybe you should test what we can do before you make threats, Commander. I have an idea that might save lives on both sides." Nix was curious despite herself. "Tell me your idea, human." "A duel," Mercer said simply. "One warrior from each side. If you win, we'll listen to your terms. If we win, you leave Earth space right away." Nix heard her crew laugh all around her. Everyone knew Draxians were stronger, faster, and more deadly than humans could ever be. This would be fun to watch, at least. "I accept," Nix said with a smile that showed her sharp teeth. "I will fight your champion myself." Captain Mercer nodded. "Good. We will set up a meeting place near Mars. The duel will happen in 3 Earth days." After the communication ended, Krell approached Nix. "Commander, is this wise? The High Council wants us to attack Earth directly." Nix waved her hand. "This will be faster. I will kill their champion quickly and then they will surrender. The High Council wants results, not methods." But something bothered her. The human captain had been too confident. What did these humans know that she didn't? On the Valiant, Captain Mercer turned to her crew. She took the bait. "Now we need our champion." A tall woman with short black hair stepped forward. "I'm ready, Captain." This was Lieutenant Maya Winters, age 32. She had studied fighting styles from all over Earth before joining the military. She looked ordinary, with a strong but not bulky body. Nothing about her looked special or dangerous. "The Draxian will expect brute force," said Intelligence Officer Kate Donovan, showing Maya videos of Draxians fighting. "They use speed, strength, and fear to win." Maya watched carefully. "She shows her moves before she makes them. She's too confident." "She has reason to be confident," Captain Mercer said. "They're physically stronger than us. But that's not why I chose you for this mission." Maya looked at her captain. "I understand this isn't about winning with strength." "Exactly," Mercer replied. "It's about winning by watching and learning. The Draxians have never fought humans before. They don't know how we think." For the next 3 days, Maya studied everything they knew about Draxians. Their biology, their fighting styles, their weaknesses. The Draxians didn't know it, but Earth had been watching them for years. They had collected information from crashed Draxian ships. They had studied their communications. They knew much more than the Draxians realized. On the Obsidian Talon, Nix also prepared. She watched videos of human fighting. It seemed simple and weak to her. Humans were soft creatures with no natural weapons. No claws, no sharp teeth, no tough skin. They would be easy to defeat. "This will be my easiest victory," she told Krell as she practiced with her energy blades. The twin weapons glowed with purple light as she moved through her practice routine. "I hope so, Commander," Krell said. But he looked worried. "What troubles you?" Nix asked. "The humans agreed too easily," he said. "And why challenge us to a duel, when we could destroy their cities from orbit?" Nix had wondered the same thing, but her pride would not let her back down now. Perhaps they have some honor after all, or perhaps they want to see a Draxian warrior up close before they die. The day of the duel came. Both ships traveled to Mars and docked at a small space station that orbited the red planet. The station was neutral ground, prepared quickly for this important event. Nix put on her ceremonial armor. It was black with purple designs that showed her rank and past victories. The armor was light but strong, with built-in shields that could stop most weapons. Her twin energy blades hung at her sides. "Remember," Krell said as she prepared to leave, "the future of our mission depends on this victory." "I have never lost a duel," Nix replied. "I won't start now." But as she walked through the corridors of the space station, Nix felt something she rarely experienced: doubt. The humans had been watching them, studying them. That much was clear. But how much did they really know? And what was their real plan? It was too late to worry now. Ahead of her were the doors to the arena. Beyond those doors waited the human champion and the duel that would decide the fate of Earth. Nix straightened her shoulders and touched her energy blades for luck. Then she stepped forward as the doors opened. The time for thinking was over. Now was the time for battle. The arena was a large circular platform floating in the center of a big room. There was no gravity here. Around the platform was a glowing blue force field to keep the fighters inside and protect the watchers. People from Earth and Draxian stood on opposite sides of the room, watching through clear barriers. Nix entered from one side of the arena. She moved with ease in the zero gravity, using small jets on her armor to control her direction. Her silver eyes scanned the area, looking for her opponent. From the other side came the human champion. Lieutenant Maya Winters wore a simple gray suit that fit close to her body. It had no armor plates or weapons that Nix could see. The human had dark skin and short black hair. She looked calm as she floated toward the center of the arena. Nix was surprised. The human wore almost no protection and carried no visible weapons. Was this some kind of joke? Or did humans have so little value for life that they would send someone to die? "This is your champion?" Nix called out, her voice carrying across the arena. "With no armor and no weapons?" Maya simply took her position at the center of the platform. "I'm ready when you are, Commander." A Draxian official floated near the edge of the arena. "The rules are simple. The fight continues until one side gives up or cannot continue. Death is allowed but not required. The winner's terms will be honored by both sides." The official raised his hand, then dropped it quickly. "Begin!" Nix didn't waste time. She pushed off hard, shooting toward the human like a missile. Her body was a weapon even without her blades, but she drew one anyway. The energy blade lit up with purple light and a low humming sound. She expected the human to try to dodge or show fear. Instead, Maya made a small movement, turning her body slightly. Somehow Nix's blade missed by the smallest distance. Before Nix could stop her forward motion, Maya grabbed her armored wrist and used Nix's own speed against her. The human spun around and struck Nix behind her head crest. Pain shot through Nix's body. How did the human know about that nerve cluster? Very few species knew about Draxian weak points. Nix turned quickly, slashing with her blade, but the human seemed to flow around the attacks like water. "You've studied us," Nix said, breathing harder now. She switched to a different fighting style, one that used quick, short movements instead of powerful strikes. Maya didn't answer. She kept moving with small, efficient motions. For every strong attack Nix made, Maya redirected the force, using the zero gravity to her advantage. After 20 minutes, Nix was getting tired. Her movements were becoming less controlled. The human had hit her many times in places that caused pain or temporary weakness, while Maya had only small cuts and bruises. "What kind of fighting is this?" Nix demanded as they circled each other in the zero gravity. Maya finally spoke. "We call it adaptation. Humans don't need to be the strongest. We just need to learn faster than our enemies." This made Nix angry. She lunged forward again, both energy blades now active. Maya dodged the first blade but couldn't completely avoid the second. It cut across her arm, leaving a burned line. The human didn't cry out or show pain. On the sidelines, Captain Mercer watched with Kate Donovan beside her. Maya is doing well, Kate said, but she can't keep this up forever. The Draxian is stronger and has better protection. She doesn't need to keep it up forever, Mercer replied. She just needs to make her point. Back in the arena, Nyx was growing frustrated. She had never fought an opponent like this. Most enemies tried to match her strength or speed. This human used completely different tactics. Fight me properly, Nyx shouted. Draw your weapon. I am fighting, Maya said calmly. Just not the way you expect, Nyx growled and charged again. This time Maya didn't move quite fast enough. Nyx's shoulder hit her in the chest, sending the human spinning toward the force field edge of the arena. Maya hit the field hard and bounced back, slightly dazed. Seeing her advantage, Nyx pressed a button on her armor. A shield of energy surrounded her body, a clear violation of the duel rules which allowed only the weapons fighters brought into the arena. The shield was built into her armor but was not supposed to be used. Violation, shouted the Earth representatives. Disqualification! But Maya held up her hand. No, let us continue. Blood ran from a small cut on her forehead, but her eyes were still focused. Nyx was shocked. You would still fight after I broke the rules? This isn't about rules, Maya replied. It's about understanding. The duel started again, but Maya's strategy changed. She became more aggressive, targeting specific weak spots in Nyx's armor. She hit joints and connections that Nyx thought were hidden or protected. As they fought, Nyx began to realize something troubling. The human knew too much. She knew exactly where to strike, how Draxian armor was designed, even the backup systems that most aliens didn't know existed. You knew about us, Nyx said, blocking a strike aimed at her secondary breathing port, a part of Draxian biology that was not common knowledge. You've been studying us for years. Maya didn't confirm or deny this. She kept fighting, moving through the zero gravity with surprising skill. She executed a complex series of moves that ended with both of Nyx's energy blades floating away from her hands. Everyone watching went silent. A Draxian warrior without weapons was unheard of. In their culture, losing your weapon was the greatest shame. Earth is not as weak as you think, Commander, Maya said quietly. We appeared weak because we wanted to understand your intentions first. Nyx stared at the human, seeing her clearly for the first time. This was not a primitive creature. This was a dangerous opponent who had been hiding her true abilities. How many of our transmissions have you heard? How long have you been watching us? Nyx asked. Long enough to know that the Draxian Empire is having a civil war, Maya answered. Long enough to know you were sent here on a mission that you were not meant to survive. Your enemies in the Empire want your family line ended. Taking over Earth was never the main goal. Nyx felt like the floor had dropped out from under her. The human was right. There had been growing tensions between her family and other powerful Draxians. This mission had seemed too easy, too perfect. If she failed, she would die in battle. If she won but took heavy losses, she would be weakened and easy to eliminate when she returned home. You're lying, Nyx said, but there was doubt in her voice. We can prove it, Maya replied. We've intercepted messages between your rivals in the Imperial Court. They expected either Earth to destroy you, or for you to weaken yourself trying to conquer us. Either way, they win. On the sidelines, Krell watched with growing concern. The human was talking to Nyx for too long. Something was wrong. He touched his communication device to contact the ship, but found it wasn't working. Someone was blocking their signals. Captain Mercer nodded to one of her officers who pressed a button on a small device. Suddenly, screens appeared around the arena, showing intercepted Draxian communications. The text was in the Draxian language discussing plans to eliminate Commander Nyx's bloodline and take control of her fleet after the Earth mission. Nyx's face showed shock, then anger, then a cold understanding. She had been betrayed by her own people. And these humans, these supposedly primitive creatures, had known all along. Why tell me this? Nyx asked Maya. Why not just defeat me and send my fleet away? Because sometimes the best way to defeat an enemy is to make them an ally, Maya said, extending her hand in a human gesture of peace. Nyx looked at the offered hand, then back at Maya's face. Everything she had believed about humans, about this mission, about her place in the Empire, was changing in a single moment. The duel had ended, but the real challenge was just beginning. For 3 hours, Nyx and Maya sat in the center of the arena, talking. The officials and spectators had moved to a conference room nearby, leaving the two warriors alone. They floated in the zero gravity facing each other. "Show me these messages again," Nick said. Maya handed her a small device. It showed communications between members of the Draxian Imperial Court. Nix recognized the coding and encryption. These were real. She read about plans to declare her a traitor if she succeeded too easily at Earth. Other messages talked about sabotage to her ship that would activate if she tried to. "Return to Draxian space. How did you get these?" Nix asked. "We've been listening to Draxian communications for years," Maya explained. "When your scout ships first entered our solar system, we captured one. The pilot died, but we learned much from the ship's computers." Nix felt anger building inside her. "My family has served the Empire for 7 generations. We have won countless battles, conquered dozens of worlds, and this is how they repay our loyalty. Power struggles happen in every civilization," Maya said. "Humans have them too. The difference is what we choose to do about them." Nix looked at the human with new eyes. Hours ago, she had seen Maya as prey, a weak creature to be conquered. Now she saw an equal, maybe even someone she could learn from. "What do you propose?" Nix asked. "An alliance," Maya said simply. "Your rivals in the Imperial Court want you dead. We want to protect Earth. We can help each other. You would trust me after I came to conquer your world?" Maya smiled slightly. "Trust is earned, but we're willing to start building it today." Meanwhile, on the Obsidian Talon, Krell was growing worried. Communications with Commander Nix had been cut off for hours. The human ship, the Valiant, was still docked at the station, but there had been no word about the outcome of the duel. "We should prepare the weapons," said the weapons officer. "If the commander has been captured or killed, we must avenge her." "No," Krell said firmly. "We wait for orders." The commander entered the duel willingly. "We must honor the results, whatever they are." But secretly, Krell was concerned. He had served with Nix for many years. She was the greatest warrior he had ever known. How could a human possibly defeat her? Something else must be happening. His thoughts were interrupted by a communication alert. "Commander Nix is requesting to return to the ship," reported the communications officer. "She is bringing a human with her." Krell was shocked. "A human? On our ship?" "Those are her orders," the officer replied. 20 minutes later, Nix arrived in the shuttle bay with Maya Winters beside her. Krell and a group of officers waited for them, hands near their weapons. "Commander," Krell said stiffly. "We were concerned. With good reason," Nix replied. "But not because of the humans." She looked around at her crew. "Who is loyal to me personally, and who is loyal to the Imperial Court?" The question hung in the air. The officers looked at each other in confusion. "I am loyal to you, Commander," Krell said without hesitation, "as I have always been." Most of the other officers nodded in agreement. 2 remained silent, their eyes shifting nervously. Nix pointed to the 2 silent officers. "Arrest them. Check their quarters and communications for evidence of treachery." As the officers were taken away, Nix turned to the rest of her crew. "We have been betrayed by the Imperial Court. They sent us here hoping we would be destroyed. If we had conquered Earth easily, they planned to declare us traitors to the Empire. If we had struggled, they planned to let us die here." She gestured to Maya. "Lieutenant Winters has brought evidence of this plot. The humans intercepted Imperial communications that prove it." Krell looked at Maya with suspicion. "And we're supposed to trust the word of our enemy?" "They're not our enemy," Nix said firmly. "At least not anymore." She called a meeting of all senior officers in the ship's main conference room. Maya stood beside her as Nix explained everything. The betrayal by the Imperial Court, the evidence the humans had gathered, and the choice that now faced them. "We cannot return to Draxian space," Nix said. "Not yet. But we cannot stay here as conquerors either." "What options do we have?" asked the ship's chief engineer. "The humans have offered us an alliance," Nix replied. "Protection, resources, and a base of operations in their outer solar system. In exchange, we share technology and help defend Earth if the Empire sends another fleet." The officers began talking all at once. Some were angry, some confused, some thoughtful. Nix let them speak. This was not a decision she could make alone. "What about our families back home?" asked one officer. "Won't they be in danger if we're declared traitors?" Maya stepped forward. "We've thought of that. Earth has stealth ships that can travel to Draxian space. We can help extract your families before the Imperial Court realizes what's happening. This silenced the room. The human was offering to risk Earthships to save Draxian civilians. It was not what anyone expected. Why would you do this for us? The chief engineer asked Maya. Because we understand family, Maya replied, and because we need allies against the Draxian Empire. This way we both get what we need. Krell, who had been silent, finally spoke. Commander, I have followed you into many battles. I trust your judgment. If you believe this alliance is our best path forward, I will support you. Nix nodded gratefully to her second-in-command. This is not what any of us expected when we came to Earth, but sometimes the greatest victories come from the most unexpected places. She looked around the room. I will not order any of you to follow this path. Those who wish to return to the Empire may take shuttlecraft and go. I will not stop you, but know that I believe that path leads to death, yours and your families. No one moved to leave. Whatever doubts they had, their loyalty to Nix was stronger. Then it's decided, Nix said. We accept the humans' offer of alliance. Later, as Earth officials came aboard the Obsidian Talon to begin formal negotiations, Nix pulled Maya aside. There's something I don't understand, Nix said quietly. During our duel, you could have defeated me many times. You knew all my weaknesses. Why didn't you end it quickly? Maya smiled. Because the goal wasn't to defeat you. It was to show you that we could understand you, that we could learn and adapt. That's humanity's greatest strength. Not physical power or advanced weapons? Nix asked. Those help, Maya admitted. But no. Our greatest strength is understanding other species better than they understand themselves. Nix felt a chill run through her body. That's a frightening ability. It can be, Maya agreed. But it also allows us to see when an enemy could become a friend. As they walked back to join the others, Nix realized that everything she had believed about humans had been wrong. They weren't primitive or weak. They were something far more dangerous and far more valuable. They were adaptable, and for the first time since arriving at Earth, Nix was glad her conquest had failed. Some defeats, it seemed, were more valuable than victories. 2 weeks passed. The Obsidian Talon had moved to a position near Jupiter, hidden from Draxian long-range scanners. Earthships came and went, bringing supplies and technical teams. The alliance was new and fragile, but growing stronger each day. Nix stood in what humans called the war room on her ship. Around her were both Draxian officers and human military leaders. Maya was there too, now serving as the main link between the two species. The Imperial Court has sent messages asking about our mission status, Krell reported. They expect an answer soon. Captain Mercer nodded. And our intelligence shows they're preparing another fleet. They suspect something has gone wrong. Nix studied the star map showing Draxian space and Earth's solar system. We need to act before they do. The first priority is extracting our families from Draxian territory. The stealth ships are ready, said Admiral Laura Foster, the highest-ranking human in the room. She was older than most of the others, with gray hair and a face lined with experience. But we need exact coordinates and identification protocols. I've prepared those, Krell said, handing over a data device. These are the locations of all our families and the codes that will let them know to trust your ships. Admiral Foster took the device. We'll begin extraction in 3 days. My best pilots are training now in Draxian language and customs. Nix was impressed by how quickly the humans worked. They had modified their stealth technology to better hide from Draxian sensors. They had created translation devices for the rescue teams. They had even studied Draxian family structures to understand who needed to be evacuated. What about our long-term strategy? Asked one of the Draxian officers. We can't hide forever. We don't plan to, Captain Mercer said. She pressed a button, and the star map changed to show the political divisions within the Draxian Empire. Our analysis shows that 3 major factions are competing for power. The faction that betrayed Commander Nix is the most aggressive but not the most popular. Nix nodded. The Vorkath faction. They've always pushed for more conquest, more war. My family has traditionally aligned with the Telsian faction, which favors stability and controlled expansion. And the third faction? Maya asked. The Renar, Nix explained. They prefer trade and diplomacy to conquest. They're the smallest group but growing in influence. Admiral Foster leaned forward. Then our strategy is clear. We forge connections with the Telsian and Renar factions. We show them that humans can be valuable allies, not just conquests. And we expose the Vorkath's betrayal of loyal Draxian warriors. It was a bold plan, using political pressure instead of direct military confrontation. Nyx wasn't sure it would work, but she had to admit it was smarter than simply fighting. There's something else, Maya said, looking at Nyx. Something we haven't told you yet. Nyx tensed. After all that had happened, she had begun to trust the humans. Had that been a mistake? Maya nodded to Captain Mercer, who pressed another button. The display showed a small Draxian scout ship. 3 years ago, this ship crashed on Mars. The pilot survived. Nyx was shocked. A Draxian has been on Mars for 3 years? Why wasn't this reported to the Empire? The pilot asked for asylum, Maya explained. Her name is Tala Ren. She's a scientist, not a warrior. She was fleeing the Vorkath faction, who wanted to use her research to create biological weapons. The name was familiar to Nyx. Tala Ren disappeared just before I was promoted to commander. The official story was that she died in a laboratory accident. She's very much alive, Captain Mercer said, and she's been helping us understand Draxian biology, technology, and culture. She's the reason we knew so much about your people. Nyx wasn't sure how to feel about this. On one hand, this Tala Ren had betrayed Draxian secrets. On the other hand, she had fled to prevent her work from being used as a weapon. And without her help, the humans might not have known about the plot against Nyx's family. I want to meet her, Nyx decided. The next day, a small ship brought Tala Ren to the Obsidian Talon. She was smaller than most Draxians, with lighter-colored scales and no warrior markings. She wore a simple human-style lab coat over Draxian clothing. Commander Nyx, Tala said, bowing slightly in the traditional Draxian greeting between different social classes. I never expected to meet the Empire's greatest warrior under these circumstances. And I never expected to be allied with humans against my own people, Nyx replied. It seems we are both far from where we thought we would be. They talked for hours. Tala explained how the Vorkath faction had tried to force her to weaponize her medical research. How she had fled in a small ship, been damaged by asteroid impacts, and crashed on Mars. How the humans had found her, treated her injuries, and offered her safety in exchange for information. They could have dissected me to learn about Draxian biology, Tala said. Instead, they asked for my help. They showed me respect as a scientist and as a person. It changed everything I thought I knew about humans. Nyx understood. Her own views had changed dramatically since the duel with Maya. The humans are not what we were taught, she agreed. No species is ever exactly what others believe them to be, Tala said. That's the first lesson of true science. As they talked, Nyx began to see possibilities she hadn't considered before. Tala wasn't just a scientist, she was connected to the Rinar faction by family ties. She could be a valuable link for their alliance plans. Over the next few days, Nyx introduced Tala to her crew. Some were suspicious at first, but Tala's knowledge and calm manner won many of them over. She helped the ship's doctor improve treatments for common Draxian ailments. She worked with the engineers to make the ship's systems more efficient. She even knew songs and stories from different Draxian regions that brought comfort to crew members who were homesick. She's good for morale, Krell admitted to Nyx after watching Tala teach some human visitors traditional Draxian game. And her connections to the Rinar faction could be useful. My thoughts exactly, Nyx replied. The rescue mission was nearly ready. 4 human stealth ships would enter Draxian space, collect the families of Nyx's crew and return to Jupiter. It was dangerous but necessary. Once the Imperial Court realized Nyx had allied with humans, her family would become targets. The night before the mission was to begin, Nyx couldn't sleep. She walked through the quiet corridors of her ship, thinking about how much had changed. A month ago, she had been a loyal commander of the Draxian Empire, preparing to conquer Earth for the glory of her people. Now she was a rebel, allied with what should have been her enemies, preparing to rescue her family from her own government. She found herself in the observation deck, looking out at the massive form of Jupiter. The giant planet's swirling clouds were beautiful in a strange alien way. Much like Earth itself. Trouble sleeping? A voice asked. Maya Winters stood in the doorway. Too much to think about, Nyx replied. Maya joined her at the window. That's understandable. Everything in your life has changed. Not everything, Nyx said. I am still a warrior. I still fight for what I believe is right. Only my understanding of what's right has changed. They stood in silence for a while, watching Jupiter's slow rotation. "Do you ever regret it?" Maya asked finally. "Accepting the duel? Discovering the truth?" Nyx considered the question carefully. "No," she said at last. "Truth is always better than comfortable lies. Even when it hurts," Maya nodded. "We have a saying on Earth. The truth will set you free, but first it will make you miserable." Nyx laughed, a sound she hadn't made in weeks. "Your people have wisdom after all, Lieutenant Winters." "Some of us sometimes," Maya said with a smile. "And please call me Maya. We've fought each other in a duel to the death." "I think we're past titles, Maya," Nyx said, testing the name. "Then you must call me Nyx." As Jupiter turned slowly beyond the window, a warrior from the stars and a soldier from Earth stood side by side, no longer enemies. Whatever came next, whatever challenges they would face them together. The rescue mission would launch tomorrow. The future was uncertain, but for the first time since learning of the betrayal, Nyx felt something like hope. The rescue ships returned 7 days later. The mission had been mostly successful. They had extracted 83 family members of Nyx's crew, including Nyx's younger sister and elderly father, but 12 family members couldn't be found. They had already been taken by the Vorkath faction as honored guests, a polite term for hostages. Nyx's father, once a great warrior himself but now bent with age, embraced his daughter on the shuttle bay deck. "You have brought shame to our family name," he said loudly for all to hear. Then he whispered in her ear, "And I have never been more proud." The Draxian families were given quarters on the Obsidian Talon and on a human space station near Jupiter. At first they were afraid of the humans. They had been taught that humans were primitive and dangerous. But slowly they began to see what Nyx had learned, that humans were different than they had been led to believe. Nyx's sister Sora adapted quickest of all. She was young by Draxian standards, just beginning her military training. Within days she was learning English and teaching young human officers Draxian fighting techniques. "She reminds me of you," Maya told Nyx as they watched Sora demonstrating a move to a human security team. "Quick to learn, slow to judge," Nyx snorted. "I was never slow to judge. That's a new trait I've had to develop since meeting you." With the families safely evacuated, it was time for the next phase of their plan. Nyx, Maya, Captain Mercer, and Admiral Foster met with Tala Ren to discuss strategy. "The Vorkath faction will declare you a traitor soon," Tala said to Nyx. "They're just waiting to make sure you're actually working with humans and not dead or captured." "Then we need to strike first," Nyx decided. "Send messages to both the Telsian and Renar factions. Show them the evidence of Vorkath's betrayal. Make it clear that humans could be valuable allies instead of conquests." Admiral Foster nodded. "We can send them messages through the communication relays near Saturn. They can't be traced back to us." "Will the other factions listen?" Maya asked. Tala looked thoughtful. "The Renar will be open to the idea of alliance. They've always preferred diplomacy to war. The Telsian will be harder to convince. They value tradition and military strength. They need to see humans as worthy equals, not just clever primitives." "Then we show them," Captain Mercer said firmly. "We invite representatives from both factions to meet us. Let them see what humans and Draxians can accomplish together." It was a risky plan. If the Vorkath faction intercepted the messages, they could send a battle fleet to Jupiter. If the other factions rejected the alliance idea, they might join forces with Vorkath against this new threat, but there were no safe options left. Messages were sent through secure channels known to the Renar and Telsian factions. Weeks passed with no response. The Obsidian Talon and its human allies prepared for the worst, upgrading weapons and shields, planning defense strategies for Jupiter and Earth. Then finally, a response came. A small ship approaching from the edge of the solar system. It flew no faction colors, but its design was distinctly Draxian. "It's a diplomatic vessel," Tala confirmed after seeing the scans, "used for secret meetings between factions." The ship docked with the space station near Jupiter. From it emerged 2 Draxians, one male, one female. The male wore the blue and silver colors of the Telsian faction. The female wore the green and gold of the Renar. "Greetings, Commander Nyx," said the Telsian representative. His name was Jaruk, an older warrior with many honor scars on his face. "Your message was disturbing, but intriguing," added the Renar representative, a sleek female named Mira. "We came to see if what you claim is true. For 3 days, The representatives toured the Obsidian Talon and the human facilities. They spoke with Draxian crew members and their rescued families. They examined the evidence of the Vorkath betrayal. They watched humans and Draxians working together, sharing knowledge and resources. On the final day, Nyx arranged a demonstration. In a large training room on the space station, Draxian warriors and human soldiers showed how they had combined their fighting styles to create something new. Nyx and Maya led the demonstration, moving in perfect sync, each complementing the other's strengths. Impressive, Jarek admitted afterward. The humans are more capable than our reports suggested. And more honorable, Mira added. They could have killed you all and taken your ship when they discovered the plot against you. Instead, they offered alliance. The representatives had seen enough. They returned to their ship, promising to bring the evidence and their observations back to their faction leaders. It wasn't a commitment to alliance, but it was a start. After they left, Nyx felt both hope and worry. "Will it be enough?" she asked her father. The old warrior had watched the entire process with keen eyes. The Telshan respect strength and honor. The humans have shown both. The Renar respect intelligence and adaptability. Again, the humans have shown both. It may be enough. Or it may not, and if it's not, Nyx pressed. Her father placed a hand on her shoulder. Then we fight as we have always done. But now we fight with worthy allies at our side. A month passed. The alliance between the Obsidian Talon crew and the humans grew stronger. They shared technology, training, and culture. Nyx's crew learned English while the humans learned the Draxian language. Engineers from both species worked together to improve their ships and weapons. Scientists shared discoveries and methods. Then came the news they had been waiting for. The Renar faction had officially denounced the Vorkath's treatment of Commander Nyx and her crew. They called for an investigation into the plot against her. The Telshan faction, more cautious, had not made an official statement but had quietly pulled their support from several Vorkath initiatives. Civil war in the Draxian Empire seemed increasingly likely. The Vorkath, sensing their position weakening, began making bold claims about human threats and the need for aggressive action. "They'll send a fleet soon," Nyx told her allies during a strategy meeting. "They can't afford to let us continue gathering support." "We'll be ready," Admiral Foster promised. Earth had been preparing its defenses, building new ships based on Draxian designs but modified with human innovations. As the days passed, Nyx spent more time with Maya. They trained together, developing fighting techniques that combined Draxian power with human adaptability. They talked about their worlds, their customs, their beliefs. They became friends, something Nyx had never expected to find in a human. "Do you regret challenging me to that duel?" Nyx asked Maya one evening as they rested after training. "Never," Maya replied with a smile, though I admit I was nervous. "You're quite intimidating, you know," Nyx laughed. "Good, I work hard at being intimidating." "Well, you succeed," Maya assured her. Then more seriously, "But I've learned there's much more to you than that." Before Nyx could respond, alarms blared throughout the station. They rushed to the command center where Admiral Foster and Captain Mercer were already reviewing sensor data. "A Draxian battle fleet," Foster reported grimly. 6 heavy cruisers and support ships. They'll reach Jupiter in 2 days. Nyx studied the sensor readings. "Vorkath ships," she confirmed. "They're coming to eliminate us and any humans who stand with us." The next 2 days were a blur of preparation. The Obsidian Talon and 3 Earth battle cruisers took up defensive positions near Jupiter. Smaller ships were evacuated to Earth or Mars. Non-combatants, including the rescued Draxian families, were moved to secure facilities on Mars. As the Vorkath fleet approached, Nyx stood on the bridge of her ship. Beside her were Krell, Maya, and Captain Mercer. On the main screen, Admiral Foster coordinated from the lead Earth vessel. "This isn't how I imagined my mission to Earth would end," Nyx said quietly. "Fighting my own people to protect humans." "Life rarely goes as planned," Maya replied. "The question is whether we can adapt to the new path." Nyx looked at her human friend. "You and your species have taught me much about adaptation." The enemy fleet came into visual range. 6 massive Draxian ships bristling with weapons. Against them stood 1 Draxian cruiser and 3 human ships. The odds were not good. "They're hailing us," reported the communications officer. On screen, Nyx ordered. The face that appeared was familiar to Nyx. Admiral Vex of the Vorkath faction, a warrior known for his cruelty and ambition. "Commander Nyx, he said with false politeness. You have been declared a traitor to the Draxian Empire. Surrender your ship and the humans you have aligned with, and perhaps your crew will be spared. Nix stepped forward. I know about the plot against me and my family, Admiral. The evidence has been shared with the Renar and Telshin factions. Your position is not as strong as you think. Vex's expression hardened. Rumors and lies. You have been corrupted by these primitive humans. Your family name will be erased from Draxian history. I think not, said a new voice. The view screen split, showing a second image. A Draxian female in the green and gold of the Renar faction. This is High Counselor Reyna of the Renar faction. We have reviewed the evidence provided by Commander Nix. We find it compelling. A third image appeared. An older male Draxian in Telshin colors. Marshal Telk of the Telshin faction. We too have found truth in Nix's claims. The Vorkath have betrayed Draxian honor. Admiral Vex looked shocked. This is outrageous. These humans have tricked you. Silence, Marshal Telk said firmly. Your fleet is now surrounded.